Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It's a wonderful Wednesday here. My name is Keelan, and I'm here with the fellas. Nick, how you feeling, brother?
Good man, how you doing?
I'm feeling great. Can't complain. I just realized Happy New Year.
Hey, happy New Year. Right
Yes,
back at
indeed.
you.
Indeed. Mike, how you feeling over there, buddy?
Let me try to get him on muted. No, he's
There we
got
go.
his thing on mute. All right.
Oh,
I think he might be indisposed at the moment. So,
indisposed.
mhm.
Indeed. Well, it is a
Sorry
Happy
about
New
that.
Year. Oh, no. There you
There he
go.
is.
Hey, what up, Mike?
Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties. Sorry about that.
No worries. I heard they even changed the voice of Optimus Prime. So things
Yep.
happen when it comes to voices. But all of that said, we are here coming in hot, bringing in the new year with our episode of the review for the Old Dads movie, the movie entitled Old Dads, which came out a little, I want to say right in the middle of the Halloween season, in fact. So it kind of escaped us. And you know how it is when the holidays are rolling around, everything is thematic. So if you're not fitting those things, we may not see that product. But here we are to review the Old Dads movie. And let's see, I'll give you guys some quick things off the top of that. I personally chose this movie. Why? Because I thought it would be something interesting to start off the top of the year. A little bit of a laugh, a little bit of interesting concept. Let's see where they go with it. We weren't really sure where they were going to go, but we're going to let you know how we feel about that in one moment.
Hey,
Hey, Nick.
Keelan.
Yes, sir.
Can you pull the mic up closer to your mouth because it's getting a lot of echo. It
So that's
sounds
what
like it.
happens when you have a
Yeah.
nice thick beard.
There you
It
go.
blocks out all kind of
Perfect.
sound.
All
You know,
good.
I mean, I heard my beard is so thick that if I sit at the right angle, my cell phone will drop service. So I
Oh
understand. I
wow. All
apologize.
right. Fair enough. Okay. Cool.
But no, sorry about that. Thanks.
Oh, you sound better. It's all good.
Um, but yeah, so we're here to give you guys a review of the Old Dads movie. Hey Nick, can you help me out with the specifics? The only things I
Sure.
know about this movie is it's written, or excuse me, I know it's directed and starring Bill Burr. I don't even know if he wrote
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. Well, it came out October 20th of 2023, and it is directed by Bill Burr. It's also written by Bill Burr and Ben Tischler, and it stars Bill
Nice.
Burr, Bobby Cannavale, and Bokeem Woodbine, as well as Katie Esselton, Rain Edwards, and Jackie Tone. And
Nice.
the let's see here, the plot synopsis for this are three best friends become fathers late in life and find themselves battling preschool principals, millennial CEOs, and anything created after 1987. Oh my God.
Yeah. I do think the 1987 situation is a bit unfair. Uh, I'd say after maybe 2007. But
And
with
millennials mean anybody that wasn't born in 1970 now, I think. Because
geez, really?
it's just used so loosely. Um, because you could say somebody
Hmm.
born in 1983 is a millennial, and then also somebody born in 1997 is a millennial.
Well,
And
Well, I was born in 1980, so I'm still confused.
you're
yeah,
right between Gen X and Gen Z, or
Yeah,
you're right
that's
between
what
Gen
I've
X
heard,
and
but I don't know
millennial.
what that even means.
Nobody does because it's all BS.
your
They just
generation grout. You're just separating two tiles.
there you go, there you go. Damn,
That's crazy.
you gonna take that, Mike? See, yeah,
If
he's
I
See,
don't
smart.
yeah,
take it,
you
I'll get
can.
canceled.
Fair enough. All right.
Fair point. I have really no response for that. Disarm me. Disarm me. Um, yeah, so let's see. Nick just gave us all the specifics on this here film. Yeah. So let's get
Yep.
into our first thoughts, our first impressions, how we felt about this, bringing in the new year, having I don't know, maybe you guys laughed, maybe you guys didn't laugh. But let's get into some first impressions, how we felt about the initial things in this movie. I'll go first. I don't really have a reason not to. I liked this movie for what it was. However, I was a bit confused as to, at least once we got towards the end, as to who the audience was for this movie. And I think I mean that in a positive way for once. I don't usually mean that in a negative way. I mean, excuse me, I don't usually mean that in a positive way. That's usually a very negative statement. But I'm not sure who this movie was made for in the context of some of it is gonna be satirical. You're gonna laugh if you have an open mind. And some stuff you're probably gonna cringe really hard at. So I do feel like there were a lot of different groups thought of in this movie. That's not something that I often notice or really care about, honestly. Um, I like Bill Burr as a comedian, so I expected this to have good laughs. It did have that, but I am not sure if the learning moments, because I feel like they tried to add some learning points, were as strong as some other people may think. Maybe not for me. Visually, though, as far as the movie itself, I like the progression. I like the speed of the movie. Uh, I don't have much to say about the cinematography. It came off decent. Like, okay, somebody knows how to do their job. But outside of that, I could see this being a movie that I actually watch again with someone who hasn't seen it. Yeah. Anybody else? How y'all feel?
No.
Oh, um, first impression was funny. I enjoyed it. The nurse dabbing off glitter towards the end,
Wait,
pretty
you
funny.
sound a little muffled, Mike. Say it again.
Oh, I said the nurse dabbing off the glitter
Oh,
towards the end. That's pretty
that was
funny to me.
funny. All
I
all the
mean,
way to the nurse in the glitter, but that and realistic.
right?
It's a great way to get
That's
off
that's
glitter.
all. I just thought it was funny as an example without giving too much context because I just found that to be quite entertaining. That she just like you got a little glitter right there, and she just started to dab it off. Hey, she just dabbing it off like, yeah, let me go on and just clean you up a little bit because we in the hospital.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm actually with you saying that is something. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut off your first impression. But something to add, I do feel like they tried to add some realistic elements to the moments. You know, whether it's sitting in somebody's house having a meeting, going to the doctor's office, being in the ER, hell, being at a strip club, being at a preschool. They tried to add some of the real things in the surrounding areas. And most of those things were just the unsuspecting people who weren't a part of your moment. Um, yeah, this movie had a lot of moments where you realize, like, oh, the main character is not the main character, but is the main character because everything they do affects the next thing in the movie. Um, hopefully that added to Mike's first impressions because that was, well after mine. Sorry.
Right? No, that's cool. I mean, it's funny. Um, I had a couple of other points I was gonna make, but we can just get into it when we get into the movie.
For sure.
But I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty funny. So we'll go with that.
Well,
So Nick, how'd you feel?
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that there are some funny moments in this movie for sure. It's kind of a small story. The concept isn't too out there or wacky or zany. Maybe it could have dealt with a little bit more zanity. I think it might have been a good addition because the movie makes you think that there's something like wild that's going to happen, but then it kind of hits this trajectory that you're like, oh, whoa, okay, so this is all the story is really going to be, which is fine. I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. There are some funny moments. I think that there the more of the humor is in some of the subtler things, like Mike said, the nurse dabbing off the glitter. That's not really an overt joke. I found the overt jokes a little bit more cringeworthy, if I'm being honest. But the
Like
subtle,
Aspen.
yeah, the subtle humor actually was pretty funny and good. So there's a mixed bag there for me. I felt like this movie is it might be like 4 or 5 years too late. In its commentary, at least, it feels like it's at this point in time, the what the movie seems to be commenting on seems a little bit, I don't know, played out. Everybody's said something about it, and now Bill Burr's making a movie about it, and it feels like this would have been more risky or adventurous to do this about 5 years ago. At this point, it just feels like a little bit of get off my lawn, and isn't the younger generation so stupid? Like, haha, let's laugh at that. And yeah, that can be true. Absolutely, it can be true, but you can't play that joke 10 or 12 times for a laugh. That has to be sort of a one-off thing. But it made it feel like most of the humor and the overt humor in this is just a commentary about how younger generations are dumb and old guy doesn't get it. So
until he starts to do everything, but we'll get to that.
Right. So he plays the game. Yeah. So it's not a bad film. I think it's funny. It's not that long. Nothing to say about the cinematography. The writing is fine. The direction is fine. Not a bad start for Bill Burr's directorial debut. I think that this was his first. Not bad at all. So
his first non-stand-up.
Yeah, as a movie directorial debut. I think this is his first. So I think it's not bad as a first shot. He did a perfectly serviceable job in that regard. But again, comedy, that's such a hard thing to do nowadays. I think we've killed comedy as a society. So it's not
That's
easy.
why a lot of comics gave up on it.
I know.
A lot of the greats.
Yeah.
Spoken word killed the comedy star.
Yeah, just YouTube. I think YouTube memes killed comedy. You don't need
memes.
Comedy
Memes don't even
anymore.
have tone.
Some of them do. You got to find the good
yeah.
ones. Yeah, get the nice dank memes.
Oh man. But yeah. So yeah, let's jump into this thing. It's not much to really talk about. It's a journey of three older men who are journeying through. Well, yeah, they're all venturing through raising young children. At one point, you think, I always was under the impression from the beginning, at least, that Mike was the one guy whose kids had already left the home because both his children were in college. But then we find out very soon that Mike's about to have a new kid.
Yes.
But
also just one more thing before we get any deeper.
Mhm.
For a movie that's about fatherhood and being a dad, there's not much children involved in this movie.
I'm glad you say that.
Because as we were talking, Keelan, I was just thinking in my head, what could make this a better movie? What would make this snappier and punchier? Perfect. The four dads have to go take the kids on a trip so that their moms can have a getaway weekend where they relax. And you take the kids to an amusement park, or you do something with the kids. And then you can basically revolve the entire movie around this weekend where the dads are in charge and they have to take care of the kids.
I think that's daddy
Would've been
daycare,
easy.
isn't it?
I guess.
I was
But I mean,
thinking
like-
Bebe's kids.
I mean, it's been done a million times before, but then this is also just sort of retreaded as well. So at least it would be about being a dad. This doesn't feel like it's about it feels like it's about being an older person in a newer world.
Yeah, that's what I thought the movie was going to be about. I do agree.
Why is old dads? You'd think that there would be kids involved.
I thought there would be more discussion around being a dad, or what you go through as a dad, not just the trauma of, because what this movie is about is being a generation older and having to play the young kids game so that your child can get along. It's not really about the dads. It's about what the kids need, right? But something that I thought was just, I have to jump ahead to this. Something that was totally wasted in this movie was the wives. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Something I think that could have been added was the wives could have had a little bit more of an in-depth moment, but at the end of the day, they were just egging each other on to bash their husbands, like in every scene they were there in, which I think is also a disservice to Bill Burr's ability to convey tone, right?
It's just also cliche. The hen-pecking wife and the beaten down father that never gets anything right, and the wife is always right, but she's a nag. And
You mean Peter Griffin, Homer Simpson?
Everything, everybody, So
even Stan from American Dad.
Or Randy
CIA
Marsh,
agent.
or every dad is an idiot, and the mother is an exhausted saint who has to deal with his bullshit all the time.
Mhm.
That's like
Yeah.
it's a trope that we've just played out overtly, and I think that this movie succumbs to it as well.
I wanna ask a real question that I don't know if we might get in trouble. I'm just gonna say I think some of the things were on all points, and we'll get to some of them through this story quickly. But I think a lot of the things were over embellished. Something that didn't happen in this movie is no one took the time to see both sides. The only person that had to see both sides is the person that was told they needed to fix themselves.
Yes.
I think that's usually a disservice in most discussions. When it pans off in entertainment that way, I think it's unfair, because if it's one place you should be able to at least get both discussions, it's in your dialogue through your entertainment. If that's what you're going to use as your trope, you got to kind of even that out. Even if you make one side just look like a total ass.
That's a good point, Keelan. I think a follow-up question to you guys would be: is there a point in which the old guys teach the young people something that doesn't
No.
backfire?
Yes.
What is it?
I'll wait.
Yeah,
I wanna
I'm
find the right way
honestly
to
not
say it.
trying to
It's not
trick
nice.
anybody. I'm trying
It's
to
not no right.
figure out.
It's
Yeah.
it's not nice, and it's almost a joke, but it's not a joke. I'm trying to find the right way to say it. They taught them that no matter how downtrodden they get, no matter how much is happening to them, they're always going to come back and take care of them. They're always going to make sure, which is what the wives said in their little discussion.
Yeah, but no, I mean, as far as what the story tells, because this motif
A
has
real
been done.
lesson.
Yeah, no, I mean, this motif has been done before many times, where it's like, "Oh, old man, you're so yesterday. We don't need you anymore." And then throughout the story, the old man teaches the young person something that they use as a valuable skill or whatever,
They
proving
didn't.
that the old men aren't exactly worthless. They still have something to offer the world.
Only one thing, and it didn't serve a purpose in this movie. It was their ability to just be human. We make
To
mistakes.
acquiesce to the demands of the current
No. Before we
time.
get to that,
Okay.
Yes, they conformed. But I think the lesson that they taught, and I don't know if they taught it, I'm really kind of taking a stretch here, but the lesson that they taught would be to Travis and to Aspen, because they're the only two, cis white gender male, who also fell burden to the same things that were coming for the old men. The difference is the old men actually survived it better than the young men did. And I think that's the lesson, is from being able to be around all these things, having these uncomfortable discussions, and sometimes being wrong, they've learned how to just roll with the punches.
No,
But I
but
don't
no,
think that's a real lesson.
no young character acknowledges that.
No,
That's what I mean, is that
the
it would have
closest
been
thing,
one thing if when they encountered Aspen after the fact, they helped him talk to a girl or something like
which I
that,
thought
where
was about to happen.
right, right.
Yeah, no, I thought that was gonna happen. And the only thing that made you think that Aspen understood them was when he helped them get out at the end.
Right.
But we're jumping far ahead. People are like, "What the hell is Aspen? What's going on here?" But so yeah, again, guys, this movie is about three men who are going through raising young kids, one of which is about to have a newborn, two of which actually are about to have children. One literally in the moment of the movie, and the other one finds out his girl is pregnant. The other guy is just raising shit of a 5-year-old, but he's not getting any help at home. He's almost a single dad dealing with Banshee and a child in the house at the same time. But they acquiesce and have a discussion later. So she comes around. Yes, I called her a Banshee. So what? Anyway, the movie is portrayed for you to feel that way about her. I don't feel any way about saying it. Notice my co-hosts aren't saying anything because they understand that I'm not trying to start any ruffle any feathers, and they don't want to get in trouble either. So anyway,
Yeah.
I apologize.
When you know a
I
trap
want
and we
problems
see one.
always.
No one. But yeah, so you find out what his name is not Bill. His name is Jack. Jack is
Bill Burr.
46. Bill Burr. Jack is 46, and he and his boys are all going through the same thing.
He's actually 52.
Is he 52?
He said it took him 46 years to become a dad, and his child is
Oh,
6.
you're right. His child is 6. You're right. So he
Yeah.
would be 50. He does say that later in the movie. I'm 52.
Yeah.
But what Connor is his friend who has a shit of a kid, and his wife Kara, she empowers the kid to be kind of a bad dude. But in her defense, what she thinks she's doing is allowing him to express himself, but not considering the people that are being affected, like the kids he's pushing to the ground and the adults he's throwing sticks at. However, I'm sure little what is his name again? I forget his kid's name.
Damien.
Damien. I'm sure Damien will figure it out once Kara understands that, hey, life's gonna teach him those lessons that you are trying to help him avoid.
Appropriate
Please stop
name.
calling him.
No, I just made Damien up. I don't think it's his
Oh.
name. But yeah.
That's why I said appropriate name.
Yeah.
Jack's wife wants to talk to Kara, but Mike intervenes. Mike is the other friend, and Mike gives her the 3 rules of friendship. And we're not friends, so I don't mind saying what I said about Kara. She's a character, not a person. Wow. I don't know if that really is going to translate properly. Either way, sorry. So Mike recites the 3 cardinal rules of friendship. We don't recite politics, we don't discuss religion, and you don't tell other people how to raise their kids. And when she tries to argue with Mike, Mike goes at Harvard, Duke, like ex-wife, girlfriend. It's foolproof. It's foolproof. Now the shit doesn't agree it's foolproof, but that's the life. After that, of course, the boys are still friends. It's just you realize that everybody has a different way of living life, different spousal agreements, different parenting choices. And if you want to be friends, sometimes you kind of got to just let it go. I don't think anybody in any of our friend groups are that way. I think we're all pretty open to have discussions. But you know what? I understand. I've seen this happen in real life where sometimes people don't know what's the difference between sharing or giving some advice and just being an ass in the moment. Like, you could have told me that in a different way. But I can understand Mike's 3 rules. If you want to keep your friends around, you kind of let's have this discussion over here, friend, and you tell me how this works.
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
at the same
Same
time,
with the principal.
and that's exactly what I'm gonna say. At the same time, you want to make sure your friends agree that this is the principle we're all agreeing, that we all agree that this is the way to move. Because clearly Jack's wife did not agree.
Jack's wife is
Now,
just simply awful. She has nothing to contribute to the story except to be angry at him all the time.
I also think she was supposed to be portrayed as like in her mid to late 20s.
No, she's like in her 40s.
She's definitely in her 40s, but
Yeah.
they kept trying to paint it like they had this generational gap between Jack and his wife.
Yeah, maybe. She was more hip and understood the new world better than him.
Right? What does she do
Yeah.
for a living?
Nothing. Get mad at him.
No, I really thought
That's
we
what
knew.
she
I
does
thought that
for
was
a
gonna lean
living.
to
No,
her.
I don't know.
Verbally abused.
My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. My bad.
And then
Set her
kick
up
him
for that.
out the moment that he gets pushed too far.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's get
Yeah.
to that because that was the worst part. Yeah, she is, in my opinion, the classic gaslighter and one of those people who doesn't take accountability for the situation. Like, she put him in a lot of messed up situations, and then say, "You got to control yourself." Like, ma'am, I controlled myself until they, I don't know, put a gun to my head and said, "Unleash the beast." Like,
She's toxically passive. That's what it is.
Right.
Like she wants her husband to be absolutely passive over everything, even if he has a justified grievance, which
Like Cooper.
in a few cases in this movie, he does have justified grievances to act the way that he does. And then the movie tells us that that was wrong and that he shouldn't have done that.
Right. They want him to be like Cooper and just acquiesce to his wife and be afraid and huddle in the bathroom and write notes that he can't make sure she can't read.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Yeah, I don't even like the way Connor kind of stood up for himself, but I'm glad he kind of stood up for himself.
Wait, is it Connor? I think
yes,
I was saying Cooper.
I think
Whatever.
I wrote something else at first too, and then I found out it was Connor and changed it. I think I wrote Colin or something at first. So
Eyebrows.
the names aren't
Just call
that
them eyebrows.
right? Yeah, the names aren't that memorable, honestly, but the characters are more memorable than their names themselves, truthfully. The next day, all of the boys head into work, and they are having. We find out that they sold a company that they built since they got out of college together. We find out that Mike is the company lawyer, while Jack and Connor are kind of just, I'm guessing Jack is the sales and marketing guy, and Connor is the post, which, whoa, Connor is far from the post. Listen, Connor needs some real friends to sit him down, and not the two that he hangs out with and build the company with. He needs, like other friends, because Mike don't care. Mike got his own things going on. Jack don't have the energy to help. And somebody has to tell Connor to sit the F down, buddy. Like, what's going on here?
What was
doing?
that? That was
Yeah, he needs
just
to have a seat.
was that just like laugh at old white dude joke? Like
No.
him? Because
Yes.
I thought I think it is, right, because I thought he was romantically interested in the girl because he
Yes.
kept trying to get at her, but like then he's clearly married and
Right. And so what I'm thinking and what
that
was
never
happening
goes
there,
anywhere.
That
Yeah,
was
1000%
middle-aged white guy trying to be
interesting.
cool.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I guess it would be middle-aged
I'm
white
hip.
guy
I'm
part. That part's
diggity.
true. Right.
Come on.
That part's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That part's true. But that's the main thing I was gonna hit at, was the whole sexual advancing while you're a married man and the owner of a company, and she's one of your workers. Sir.
Yeah. Seems like a bad idea.
Now I
around.
also feel like, and I was waiting for it to happen. I figured they were gonna have like HR somebody come in for him. But instead they just ended up
That's what I
kind of
thought.
shoving them off to the side, and they all get fired at the same time. Because I will say there's different levels to these things. But I think if they had done that, Mike being the lawyer wouldn't have been able to do what he was able to do a lot later, with finding out when how the company was treating everything. So let's move through so we can actually get to some of that. They go to the company. Half the company is fired. Jack is referred to a shrink. Then he goes to pick his son up from school. He can't find parking. I actually thought his car was going to get towed, but it didn't, because even though he parked in the red. What ends up happening is he walks in to get his kid, and he meets this lady. I don't remember her whole name, but Dr. Three name.
Dr. L.
Dr. L.
Mm.
And he's walking in to get his kid, and she goes, "Oh, you were late." And he goes, "Yeah, I was 2 minutes late. I couldn't find parking. Sorry about that."
Her name
Okay,
is
yeah.
Lois Schmeckel Turner.
Schmeckle. That was the word I was getting. Just Schmeckle.
Yeah.
I know what
And
that
it's
means.
so funny because later
Yeah,
he says
right.
Schmeichel, and I was like, he's funny for that. I get what he's doing.
Isn't
Like, he fucking-
Schmeckel Hebrew for penis?
for penis? Yep.
So her
Correct.
name is Lois Penis Turner.
Mhm.
Okay, that's funny.
She
That's
is
what
the
he
lowest
does.
penis here, because she is definitely not somebody you're interested in. I did think that was a pretty funny name. I was like, you could put slide really good jokes in without pause.
The subtle jokes.
Exactly, the good ones. So she decides as he's walking back with his child to like, "Oh, well, you were late," and add on some sauce, and he's apologizing, and then she adds on some more sauce, and he's apologizing, and then she adds on some more sauce, and he's like, "Yo, what the fuck, lady?"
Yeah,
Like,
everybody pushes him to his nth degree, and then his wife swoops in like Batman as soon as he loses his mind, and is like, "Now don't lose your temper, honey."
right.
It's
Well,
like,
this first one was one of the most disgusting to me. Now, the second one or
Agreed.
later was also, but this first one was the most disgusting because you weren't even there. So
Right.
somebody just called the home and policed me like I'm your damn child, and you're gonna decide to go off on me without even asking me the context of what happened. So
usually
you're
you
telling
should
me that
be
someone
on
outside of
my
this house
side.
is right. Well, not
Yeah.
even if you're on my side, just you're telling me that somebody else's words are more important and more valid than you even hearing me out.
Yes.
Time to go.
I mean, seriously. She had no interest in having his back about anything.
Nothing. Not at all.
Yeah.
And let's even say this. Maybe we can blame it on her being pregnant through the movie. Maybe it was her
Sure.
hormones. But
Maybe. I think the
outside
movie
of
just
that, man,
I think the movie just doesn't know what to do with her. That's what
that's
it
a
is.
fair point. That's a
Yeah.
very fair point. Maybe never mind. I was gonna say something that I think I wasn't supposed to say on air. But different wife, different experience. So
All right.
so yeah, he gets back after the principal irritated him, and she goes, "Hey, did you read the book?" He goes, "Yes, I read the book." "Oh, well, it's so and so dollars if you're late per minute." "Okay, here's the money. I don't have any change." "Oh, well, the first one's free." Ma'am, I'm not sure who you
Right.
frequently talk to. But As adults, that's not how we communicate with one another, Miss Educator. And that's the
Yeah.
other thing about Schmeichel Turner. The issue with her is she let her power not only go to her head, she let her accomplishments as an academic not only go to her head. She no longer cared about what the actual point was, which was the kids, but she had found a way to begin to get over. And we'll talk about that level of getting over. And we even saw some of the ways she gets over and she gets to the point. But either way, after talking to his wife and they get into it, he agrees to apologize. And then he does go in to apologize. But wait, sorry. He also calls her a stumpy C word or a stumpy cunt.
Mhm.
Anyway, but as we get to his apology, so he goes in to apologize and come to find out the whole school's been notified. And the first thing he says is, I first want to apologize to the 4 of you who were there that went and told the other 40.
Mhm.
Because why am I in a room full of people right now doing this? This is weird. And
They
look,
call it
they hit him.
restorative justice because there's
Yeah,
an
whatever.
old fable about some native tribes people in halfway across the world that when somebody murders somebody, they get the tribe together, and what they do is they talk to the murderer until they feel bad about it. And now it's the cutting edge for yuppie, affluent people to do the same thing because they think that that's some way of policing the community.
So it sounds like a stone throw, a firing brigade.
A struggle session, if you want. That's what the Chinese did under Mao's Cultural Revolution. They would
He's
make you
like,
stand on a stage in the town square while the entire town yelled at you and threw things at you.
right.
Yeah.
Like, well, welcome to the 1800s, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, that happened in the 1960s.
Oh,
It
geez.
wasn't even that long ago. Yeah.
Man, see, that's what happens when you call people stumpy C words.
Yeah. Just don't do it, guys. Don't do
Justifiably.
it.
Justifiably, right?
Yeah.
Even though it was justifiable. Let's make sure we make that very clear. We in no way, shape, form, and fashion believe that it was not justifiable in this movie for him to accost this woman with such language because she decided to belittle him every chance she got.
Yeah, and he was more than reasonable, I believe 2 or 3 times until she. Yeah, I mean, you push that many times, that's what you get. Sorry. And I don't want to live in a world where people have to bite their tongue after being pushed that far. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And not just that. Okay, maybe I go off and I go a little overboard and you don't like what I said. Can we discuss how we got here? That's something that we don't do enough in our society.
Yeah.
We are always worried about the reaction or the response. So what was the statement that got us here?
How did we get to this point where I felt the need to tell you what I told you that you now crying about?
Yeah.
And that's lacking a lot in this movie, and I think intentionally so to prove the point that that's what we do consistently.
Well, because because in general, men have to always be the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're always the cause of all the world's ills. Or didn't you know?
I know. I have to look in the mirror every day. I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to keep that in mind.
And I say, "You're awful."
That's why the doctor never got any of her comeuppance. Not really.
No,
she wasn't allowed to.
Nobody gets a comeuppance except for him.
Right. The wife, she never gets held accountable for not being a wife. Because a wife
having his back at one.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what a wife would do. A wife would have your back. She might not agree with you, but she's not going to publicly out you either.
Right. She's not going to humiliate you. Yeah.
Right. Because we're a unit. We're a team. We're together in this. So you're not going to sit there and be like, look what this fool did. It's like, no. It's like, first of all, if you wrong, let's go discuss that privately. Because we can't. We got to have a united front in the public eye.
Yeah.
You know what I expected.
But let me shut up because what do I know?
Single man. Got your back, Michael. Got your back. You know what else I thought was funny, and I expected his wife to do it at some point, even in the very last scene of this damn movie. I expect her to, hey, leave my husband alone for you get fucked up.
Man, at least once.
Just once would have been great.
Right.
Very
like,
nice.
Hey, you don't know what you're bringing on yourself. Leave him alone. Like, no, don't protect him. Don't let people know that they're poking the fire bear. No, just let them walk into.
I would have loved to have seen her give somebody the business.
Yeah, she
Like
could have
he
walked
would
up to
though.
she could have walked up to the principal and said, "If you think my husband gets angry, just keep pushing him and you see what
Man.
I can do."
Man.
You know.
Or say one more thing to
Ain't
my
nothing-
husband and I'm gonna beat your head in. Or
Ain't
something.
nothing
What do you
worse than a
think?
husband. Ain't nothing worse than a husband that's angry because you pissed off his wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Just saying. Yeah, she should have stepped up. I think that would have at least given him the right to go even further in some instances in this movie. But he's forced to sit through a on-call stone throwing or verbal stone throwing, as I wrote in my notes, and it's still not enough. He still has to kiss Dr. L's ass to get a recommendation for his son to go to kindergarten, because there's such a monopoly placed on education today that you have to be disrespected, told that you were body shaming somebody by using the word stumpy, and crazy part is Bill Burr had to defend the fact that the woman compared the N word to the cunt, the word cunt, or the C word. We'll call it the C word out of respect for
Right.
people who don't like. I know plenty of people who don't like that word.
Right.
But yeah, the comparison and Bill Burr not only was he was the person speaking, but there were like 3 black people in the room who could have just been like, "Hey,"
Right.
but they didn't have that happen. Bill Burr had to break it down for her, so that she understood. Because, which I also thought was funny, because I expected somebody to cut him off and tell him to stop mansplaining. I swear I expected somebody to say that in that moment.
Because that just
But
would
it
have made
didn't happen.
sense for the whole
just would've
tone of
made
the
sense.
movie.
It would have made sense, but
I
it
was
didn't
surprised
happen.
nobody was wearing a pink hat.
I don't think that would be appropriate for this isn't rated R, is it?
Oh, I think I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, this is rated R.
It's got to be with all the cursing.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. There's a lot of F-bombs. It is Bill Burr.
We just said the C word was used. You can't get a
Right.
PG-13 with the C
you're right.
word.
You're right. I'm concerned at how they're gonna feel about us using it right now. So you.
Oh man.
I'm not.
Well, we 37 minutes in, so I think they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine. I mean, hey, we didn't use it. We're just.
Oh no, they're gonna take our sweet, sweet ad money away from us. Whatever shall we do?
We're just telling you about the wonderful verbiage that was used in this movie. So yeah, he has to kiss her ass. Mike finds out his girl is pregnant, and he kind of just,
I did not like that part.
You know what?
He's the most together of all of them. I don't know why he would have such an existential crisis about it.
Because
that part I understood. The fact that he pulled out and the fact that he has a vasectomy already and she's pregnant, I'm like, man, you better get a test.
Well, he gonna get a test, I'm sure.
We're doing a Maury moment.
No, because he said I don't think that's the tone of the movie, bro, to be fair, because he's not gonna get her tested.
No,
he's accepting this as his child. There is in no way any kind of paternity fraud brought up or potential paternity fraud, which is I think was absolutely the case.
And he makes the most money out of everybody. He's
all of them.
Have you not?
He got his stuff together the most.
Athletes nowadays, they don't ask questions neither. They just fork over 100 racks.
Interestingly enough, there is a brief scene when she's introduced when the guys are talking about how he's bragging like, "Oh yeah, she doesn't want kids. She doesn't want to get married."
Yep.
That sounds like what a honeypot would say.
Did you see that young lady?
She was gorgeous.
She was sitting there like, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how you see how I felt.
You silly. What he say on the wood?
He was looking like what's her name from that online dating show with the pretty eyes, Melly.
I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Okay. Gorgeous.
Oh wow, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Okay.
Do you want to take a moment, Mike? Do we need to leave you alone? I can put the overlay on.
Nah, I had a couple of days already.
Okay, gotcha.
He's gonna come back sounding like Bakeem Woodbine. Yeah. So back to this show.
Back to.
Oh man. But yeah, so finds out she's pregnant, but he had a vasectomy and he pulls out, so he's freaking out. But yeah, as the fella said, eventually he does kind of fall into it. Jack shows up the next day to the school after the whole charade with the entire school and yada yada yada, and he's putting up with it because he loves his kid and he agrees with his wife that this is the right thing to do. Um, and he brings an olive tree to, pun intended, extend the olive branch by bringing an
Right.
olive tree to the garden. And what does this whore do? She treats him like shit. She tells him, "Oh, that won't fit into our garden because of all of the insects and the bugs it would bring." It's
Hey,
crazy how
Keelan.
you would bring the same version of the plant of your human. I mean, the plant version of you,
Hey,
ma'am,
Keelan.
sir.
Are you feeling some kind of way?
What did I do? Did
You
I do?
called her. I mean,
What did I do? I don't know what I did.
you said it's this whore. I'm like,
Oh
damn.
shit!
Like, damn.
I did
Yeah.
say that.
She really
Okay.
got you worked up
Put
as
some
a
extra
character.
put some extra flame on that one.
I apologize. She did her job. She's a great actress. That character needed to
Agreed.
get a reaction, and she
She
got
got
one out of
you.
me.
Hmm.
She
You
got one.
was
And
mad.
I'll explain why. I'll explain why though. First off, olive trees are expensive.
Yeah, very.
That's the first one. Second, that was a full grown, ready to be propagated and just dropped in the soil olive
Right.
tree.
That
Like
wasn't a branch.
that wasn't a branch. That was a couple of $100, a couple of thousand perhaps, depending. But they,
That's
because
a root system.
that was out. Look, they're in the valley. They're right here in California. They're not far. So if you've ever been to an orchard in our entire state, it ain't affordable.
Uh-uh.
No, it's
Just gonna
definitely
say
not.
that.
Yeah.
So I felt the way because, and maybe that's because I know a little bit too much about plants and stuff. Maybe I don't know, but I felt the way about that because I felt like, dude, if you know, since she knows so much about plants, you know what effort he just put in to get that.
Yeah, Dr. Green Thumb.
You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
she used her disdain for that to spin that into asking him with all of his sales background. Because he literally had one of the most successful companies in town for what they said, like 18 years. Now you want him to use his sales ability to get fundraising money for your school. But you just told him he was basically a piece of shit. You
Right.
literally just put him on display as the most disgusting human being as a parent in your school. And you've done all of this in front of his child. Just want to make sure I make that very clear because the whole apology and all of that was in front of his kid. Even the whole making him go, taunting him. I'm not gonna say making him go out, but taunting him was in front of his child. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out why she get a pass on all of that. But every time he even looked at his wife sideways, the kids are in the room, like lady. Anyway, uh,
Because
because
it's more important that they get a good recommendation from some quack lady about a kindergarten
Mhm,
than for them to be a cohesive family.
right. And what did she say about the olive tree that was so apropos? I don't even know what that means.
Appropriate. It's just French for appropriate. Just sounds fluffier.
Got it. So she
Yeah.
doesn't really speak other languages. Got it. Okay.
No, apropos is yeah, but like I guess her whole point is that it's an invasive species.
Yeah.
What was
Which
the
is
point about it's just
It
incompatible
didn't.
with?
it's incompatible with the
Yeah, it attracts certain insects and some other stuff. She was saying that was a bunch of nothing.
All right,
right.
whatever.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
part. Say that
She's
louder for me,
awful.
Nick. Say all right one more time for me.
All right, whatever.
That
Yeah.
part. I don't know if I sound so convincing. It sounds convincing when I hear it, maybe not when I say it.
Hmm.
Right.
But so yeah, because of the sales background, we get into the meeting for the fundraiser. And Frank convinces Connor to help him because they've been doing this for years together, and Connor clearly has a better relationship with the family, the parent groups. But Frank is really just not given a chance. Like he has his idea, uh, Connor has his idea, the lady has her idea, which is terrible. And then the other lady comes up with an idea that's something like what they were just talking about, but it's um not. And then there was also that one idea of having a whole trans waitress staff or waiter staff. And it was like, ma'am. And now
Why?
I'll tell you where I thought they were talking about a fundraiser for the kids to attend.
Yeah.
So once it was like, oh, okay, no, it's just for the adults. It was like, okay, maybe I'm not as confused by why that was a suggestion. But what they decided on was going with something that was more America based, something more family neutral, something that possibly wouldn't offend anybody instead of just, trying to offend the smallest amount of people in the room. At the same time, Connor and Jack were questioned as to why the discussion is always led by two white men by another white man, but because his 23andMe told him that he's 3% Sri Lankan, yeah, they were at that point being racist and punching down, I guess. I thought that shit was hilarious. I don't
Wait, what?
know if I was supposed to laugh that hard at that, but I thought that was hilarious because wow, buddy.
Okay, but I have an honest question for you guys. Have you ever met a white person who has said, I'm 3% anything?
Yes.
Okay, and I just don't hang out with white people, then I guess. Because I'm, it's not like we have a secret group where we talk about our blood quantum with each other.
No, I get that, but no, I've actually had that discussion with a couple of folks. They were like, "Yeah, I'm 3% this and 12% that," and I'm like, "That all sounds like Caucasian to me."
I will say that the people who have said those things were all assholes.
Yeah.
They were all
I
trying
guess.
to prove a point
I mean,
in my opinion.
Sure. I guess I guess it does happen, but I really.
But
I must say that I
haven't.
haven't. Yeah, it's dumb. Unless you can talk about where your parents are from, then I don't think that you can really say anything. Like, yeah.
As long as I'm not the only one
my
with
mom
that
is
exact
from
argument.
this country, or my dad's from that country. There you go. Like that's a pretty direct connection. But if you got to go 10 generations back, you might.
Well, I mean, I've had
might as
people
well not bring it up.
I've had people talk about being 51% of this, and then being like 8 to 12.
Half.
Right, and then being all these small percentages of something else, and then they pick the one minority part. They're like, "See, I'm part that. I'm more than most of these people." I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I've heard discussions like that mostly. I've heard other ones where they're trying to defend other shit, but it's mostly those where it's like, I took my 23andMe, and you're like, okay.
Yeah,
right.
This could definitely spark a very spicy conversation that's not appropriate for this channel. So let's
fair, it's all fake anyway.
It's my fault for asking the question, but I shouldn't. Right. Yeah, let's get off of the topic of blood quantum.
God dang, Bill Burr and your 3% comment in your movies.
Yeah.
So after the meeting, back at the office of Trifecta, Jack, Mike, and Connor are asked to go and convince a guy who basically chose to live off the grid and be homeless to become famous, which I think is stupid. But, that's what happens when you have, a 23, 28-year-old CEO that he's not really the CEO. He's more like the lackey for the chair or for the venture capitalist board that you sold your company to.
It's just Grizzle.
Yeah,
from Parks and Recreation. It's Grizzle.
Yeah,
come on.
Grizzle. And we all
right
know
over my
what
head.
Was about.
Yeah.
Social media, just different socials, Mike.
Yeah.
So basically, you think of it as this kid wanted to be like the new Steve Jobs, and he's under the impression Steve Jobs didn't invent nothing at all. So he thinks he just tells people what to do, and he becomes a great person. He finds
at this
out
company
that doesn't work out.
We don't like saying no at this company, so I'm gonna say nah. That's a Grizzle line.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep.
Damn it, I had a park and rake joke that I'm trying to get out of my head. Sorry.
Did it involve Chris Pratt?
No, it involved Aziz Ansari and that particular.
I don't know who that is. Moving along.
Okay.
Damn.
Jeez. It was about Park and Rec, for the record.
I think Mike owes him money or something.
Right?
I don't know who that is.
So let's see. Travis is in the car with them because he sent in the rental car with them, and they're talking about different things. And Travis starts to accuse Mike and boys of being misogynistic because they're
seemed hilarious.
That scene was hilarious. And in the midst of him trying to rib them and give them a hard time, Mike gets irritated a little bit. And Mike asks him, "Do you listen to hip hop? Like, how deep do you go?"
At that point, you that was just That was the first mistake right there. I've never even heard
Right.
no hip hop. I don't know what hip hop is. I'm sorry,
Nope.
sir.
What's that,
I
sir?
knew where he was
Yeah.
going as soon as he asked. Because he had to, do you listen to hip hop, Travis? And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I knew
Oh,
where this
no.
was going.
And
I knew immediately where that was going.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, I want Travis to answer this appropriately. Like,
Yeah.
please answer this
Absolutely.
question the right way, Travis. Don't do it. Don't try to play the game. Don't play the
try to
game.
yeah, exactly.
Travis tried to play the game. And we get all the way to him having him sing NWA.
You know what?
NWA.
Mike did a great job with Bo Keen did a great job with the intensity of that scene and the questioning of him. That made that scene just that much better. He did a great job right there.
And that was the closest thing, right? That, to answer your question earlier, Nick, this is the closest thing to a lesson that was taught to the younger generation of that moment, basically being taught to Travis, like, yeah, everything ain't about hurting somebody's feelings, and like sometimes you're just in the moment, you're just having fun, right? You're just living life, right? Like, what's so hard about that? But
or it's just like, judge not lest ye be judged, right? It's like, don't go throwing around accusations about me because I know what you get up to while you're making your cereal.
Or
right.
don't go throwing stones at glass ceilings.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So then they hit an armadillo and meet Ed Cameron. But Ed Cameron asked when he Jack's talking to him, he asks if he makes sure he goes, "You're not a bunch of fags, are you?" Now, I don't mind saying that because I thought it was important. Let me explain. This guy is from 1988. He ain't been in society. I thought that was the best time if they're gonna try to push an envelope so far just to see, like, do you understand the context and why he would say something like that? I think that was the best way to try. Now, could it have backfired? This movie's 3-4 months old already, so it didn't backfire as hard as people probably would assume it would have. But I was kind of impressed. I'm not gonna lie. Because if there is one way to get your entire movie just destroyed on the production floor, it's probably that line.
Well, I think that's only really to sort of counteract the joke that happens in the car with the young kid, right? Because so the idea is that these old guys don't know, the way the world works, and the young kid that's riding with them is like, yeah, we're more evolved than you are. And so then you have the whole, the N-word and the hip hop thing. Which makes a fool out of the young kid. But then right after that, they see the old guy and he drops the gay F slur. And that's when the old guys are like, hey, you can't say that. So they then put themselves in the position as young men telling the old guys that you can't do something. So, yeah, I think it's really just to sort of point out the hypocrisy of the three old dudes.
Well, and it also reinforces the earlier joke that, it's just like saying the N-word, but for a different group.
Right.
Ew.
Right. But look at how even Nick had to say it. He said it's the F slur.
Yeah. I get it. You know what's so crazy is you're right, and I realized there were and so the reason I thought it was brilliant, I realized there was a couple of moments in this movie, and it gets to exactly what Nick's saying, where they're trying to get through to Jack specifically by like, oh yeah, this person might agree with this, but the lady at the hotel when he's smoking the cigarette and whatnot, having
but she's awful and they're gross and they're backwards people. So look at what you've become. You become the deplorables, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's more so what I'm saying is I think they found the right angles to try to, if you're going to try to teach this lesson, like, all right, at least make it the worst scenarios possible where people just are, they're not even the kind of people that you can correct. You just like, oh, okay. And you keep going. But yeah. Either way, we don't have to talk about that long. I think I should talk about that longer than I thought I would.
We call them the vulgar masses. You must be an enlightened individual.
Sounds like a video game statement phrase.
Yeah.
So the kid. So Connor's kid hits the pregnant belly of Jack's wife. I really don't remember her name. In front of Kara, and she excuses his actions, which causes an argument between the two wives. Of course, later on, when the boys are at Trifecta, Connor can't look at Jack, which he tells him later after the meeting and everything, which is after they actually ended up getting fired. He tells him that they can't be friends anymore, and he needs to talk to his wife to find out why. Maybe there will be a day we'll be friends, but it's not right now. Straight up. But at Trifecta, the boys are secretly recorded in the rental car, and they find this out when they're losing their jobs because Aspen is being told, is letting them know, like, hey, the rental car company saw this and they sold it to us for all of our users' information because that's just the way of the world, man. And like, wow, like, okay.
That's the big takeaway from this movie, though.
Yes, it is. Be careful about renting cars.
Well, no, the big takeaway is that your information is publicly sold and traded, and there's no such thing as privacy. Because even the way they found what was his name, Newton Cameron or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
What did they say? He had a subscription to Publishers Clearinghouse in the 80s.
No, 79.
Yeah, that got sold to some company. And then we were able to do some special tracking. Like, what the hell?
Black market. Yeah.
Right.
And then he was like, we don't need to talk about that. Like, oh, why not? Why don't you need to talk about?
So that's the big takeaway from this whole movie, though, is that you have no real right to privacy.
Which is why they want everybody to kind of, acquiesce a little bit, because
that's why you need to be on your best behavior, because who knows what's going on in that terrible mind of yours. We might need to liberate you from your mind.
Or even you
might be being oppressed by your
Going to insert this chip under your skin.
Yeah.
So we can upload your consciousness.
You can end the no thoughts forever.
Right. And you're not safe anywhere, not even in your own home, as Travis found out.
Right. Because immediately he gets fired.
Right. Travis is pouring cereal singing All Go Everything by Trinidad James, if you know, you know.
I don't. I knew where it was going, but I knew where it was going, but I didn't know. I ain't never heard none of it, but I knew where it was going.
All Go Everything is a funny ass song, honestly. It's a good song in general. But I understand also, that's not your forte.
Get off my lawn.
Had they asked you about hip hop, Mike would have been like, hey. And like, you turn on that Dinah Hathaway and stop playing with me, boy.
Hey, literally my ex name is Get Off My Lawn.
Get off my lawn. Now you guys know how to find them. But
yep. Go ahead, I don't post nothing.
Let's see. So Mike is pissed. Mike leaves, and Connor goes home, even though he's afraid of his own wife. And Mike now works for. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, Mike is pissed, but Mike also now works for a firm, a lawyer firm. It's been 2 months later, and shit's just not going well.
Right.
No, everything's awful. And
Bill's wife doesn't work because she's pregnant. He's out of a job.
This is the low moments of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Connor Cooper, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Connor's sitting on the toilet, writing notes and eating them and throwing them in the toilet when his wife ain't paying attention and burning them when she do see him.
She looked like the Juwan demon when she popped in on him in the bathroom, though. She just wasn't wet.
From the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was her name? Sarah or something?
I forget it.
Samara.
Samara.
There you go.
I'm gonna say something Aura. I just remember something Aura.
Yeah. Ringo.
So then we get to the party. So the party starts. Everybody's loving the party. It's jazzing up pretty good. Everybody's having a good time. Nobody's getting too inebriated. The music's good. Jack's even getting compliments. Dr. L comes over to compliment him, but of course she can't let him ride this high horse for too long. She immediately lets him know that this party is only going to be a success if, depending on what the outcome is. Basically, if the money comes through. Greed. So what happens is they start the live auction, and Jack's feeling himself because he's getting people to bid on things and the auction numbers are going up, 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 up. And he ends up going from like 2,400 to 3,000. And nobody's bidding. And now he has looped himself in for a 2-hour therapy session with Dr. L. And even though he clearly is disappointed in himself and he's a little upset about it.
Enter the DJ Khaled meme. You played yourself.
You played yourself.
Sorry.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So he goes, he's just sitting there, takes him a swig of his drink. And Dr. L, being the bitch she is, has to come over and say something. Now, I'm sorry, you have to see the movie to understand. I really don't usually speak on women this way, but this woman was literally so full of herself. Her entire intent was to destroy this man from the inside out.
And his wife helped.
Yep.
That's what made it so awful. His wife helped.
Yep.
His wife definitely helped.
And then when we find out what happens with Dr. L, we don't ever get an apology from the wife about, hey, you know what? That was wrong of me. I should have had your back. She was a piece of shit.
You're absolutely right, Nick. That's an important thing. Yeah, that would have been great. Because matter of fact, because this is pretty much our last interaction with Dr. L.
Yeah.
Jack and Dr. L get into it. She comes in and she starts talking about his finances, which how do you know that? First off, why are you talking about my job and my finances? Don't you get your money every month? Shut your mouth.
That's all you need to worry about. You getting paid.
I'm sorry. Am I not paying you to kiss my ass? Because that's what paying people is for. You're providing me a service. I mean,
to some level, yeah.
I mean, she's like the only reason she has any money is because these people are paying. You know, like I don't know. They pay tuition too. Why are you doing that?
Right.
I guess it's
because
just
she's a
thing.
Stumpy.
Oh, right.
Don't y'all say that word on this channel?
See you next Tuesday.
Hey, I never heard that before. So, his wife blames him for his reaction when he kind of goes off, calmly still goes off on Dr. L. Just like, hey, listen, ma'am, I've done my part. I've done this fundraiser. You got your money. I pay the bills. And I just agreed to give you another $3,000 for a session that neither of us really want to be a part of. Leave me alone. Like, oh, I'm going to remember that when I write your child's recommendation. You would be nasty enough to hold this against an innocent child because we have something going on between us. You would be that person.
Point.
Yeah.
Good point.
But he knew that from jump. Yep. And his wife should know that as well. And she does know that. She's basically telling him, roll over on your belly and let her bitch you around for the next year.
You in the ding ding.
She wants to be like Kara and be able to at her husband.
Right.
Right. I said that.
I didn't hear you say that earlier. Yeah, because like Kara snapping at Connor, I'm like, hold on.
Like a dog.
Because everybody, the whole point of this movie is that every man needs to be less like Bill Burr and more like Connor's character, and just be afraid of their wives.
And then timidly ask for a little bit less punishment.
Right.
At the end. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Would you just please be nice to me once in a while?
Be nice.
Once in a while.
Don't no man get married looking for that kind of animosity in his household and that kind of fear and having to walk around on eggshells.
Nobody anything in life looking for that.
Ain't nobody pretty enough to put up to lose the level of peace that solitude provides. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's not wrong. Yes, that's a well put statement. I just don't know where to take that without,
even Superman had his sanctum of solitude.
Man, you gonna tell me about that? Lois definitely couldn't fly to the South Pole.
Hey, she couldn't get in.
Nope.
The key to his fortress of solitude was the weight of a condensed star. She couldn't lift
it. That's right. Straight up. So Dr. L pisses him off. He ends up getting into it with her. His wife comes over and starts torturing him, blaming him for his reaction, not for what was said. And she tells him, and she leaves and goes home. He finishes the event. He ends up having to take a taxi home.
Yeah, because she leaves him.
That's twice.
First of all,
a couple of things. It's like, ma'am,
why she got the car keys?
Yeah, I mean,
Sober?
she's like
She's
very
pregnant?
pregnant. She shouldn't be driving at like that
I was
close.
thinking that too.
She's like within a week or two.
Right. I was thinking like, yeah, ma'am, you just sit in the corner until he sits for like 30 minutes because he ain't been drinking. He been sipping his little drink.
Yeah.
You'd be all right.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, that's too much like right. Why stay and make sure that your husband's
Or
okay
you
since
could
he's
just
been
both
drinking?
call an Uber and leave the car at the school.
Yeah.
Right.
You could do that. Very easy.
Clearly, it's
Matter
not
of
that
fact,
far.
you were gonna be
Yeah.
drinking, you're pregnant. Why did you drive to begin with?
Fair enough. Yeah, you should have just Ubered there anyways. Yeah.
Sounds like somebody has some plans. Anyway, uh he gets home, she's latched him out, and
Chain
he's
locked.
like, yeah, chain locked him out, and he's like, shoulder through that thing. Like, what is going
Right.
on, man?
Like, what you thought?
But the thing about that was she's mad at him now, like, because he broke into the house. Like, man, why'd you lock me out?
Mad
I
enough
live
to
here.
kick him out and like risk a divorce with the father of her unborn child.
Yeah, over
something that we've
criminal.
over the disagreement with a criminal, but something we've also only seen one more time before. We've only seen him freak out one other time, but she's like, we need to take a break because all you do is freak out all the time. And it's like, well, we haven't been shown that. So, and
We're
most of
supposed
the
to
time
assume
when he freaks out, it's for a justifiable reason.
Like the other story she said was when he wanted to fight an entire row of college kids. Let me think. You're at a football or sporting event. He's with his
they were
lady.
being
There's a row of
annoying.
college kids.
Yeah.
Assuming one or two of them might have hit on you. Somebody challenged his manhood once or twice. Yeah, I could
They
see
get
how that
rowdy. They start throwing things, of course.
Who hasn't wanted to beat on children?
Yikes.
Well, the theory at that time, wait. Now the theory at that time was that they would have been in college as well.
Right.
I guess.
She
or
said it was
not.
like 20 years ago.
Okay. Well, I mean, they could have.
I think it was their first date. She said.
Wait, yeah, 20 years ago was it? Yeah, because he's in his 50s.
He would have been in his 30s then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My math wasn't mathing. My bad. Well, shoot, maybe he was a 30-year-old college student. You know, it's not impossible. Impossible. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, so she kicks him out of the house and then tells, picks her son up and he asks, what, Daddy, why are you leaving? And this lady, he has some work to do. When are you going to be done with your work, Daddy? Like, come on, man.
Man, that was messed up.
That was icy.
That's just indicative of what we see in society where women use your children as weapons against you.
That's a fair point. Because that's exactly what that was. It took me, I was like, why was that necessary? But yeah, you actually just hit that right on the head.
Right. Yeah. This is why I'm going to delete all social media soon. I got to.
Because they're trying to red pill you, or because it's irritating.
Because I think it's all fake. Because I'm starting to be convinced that it's all fake. Both sides of it. I don't know what there's no. All right, that's a rabbit hole for another time.
Sorry. Yeah. We've had that discussion. And
yeah.
Most people probably don't know, but we think a lot of the shit on the internet is fake because there's no possible way.
Right. Absolutely. Nick coming back like, what happened?
I heard rabbit hole. What are we doing here?
I saw the look on your face like, rabbit hole.
Uh-oh.
We were just talking about, I blanked out.
Well, basically, I was saying how she used his son in that scene as a weapon against him. And then I said, that's why I got to delete social media because all of it's fake and I can't tell if any of it's real at all. And that was the rabbit hole. So we said, let's not go down that rabbit hole. That's a conversation for another time.
Yes, if you ask yourself if it's fake, that's probably an 85% chance that it is.
Right, because you have to always ask, who filming?
Right. Yeah. Or why is there a pillar on that airplane?
Yeah. Why is there a pillar on that airplane is a great one. Yeah.
Who put these pillars on my airplane?
Yeah, I love those, dude. That is whoever's doing those needs to be investigated. I don't know what I mean. Like, I don't know how those people are getting away with that.
It's a lot. It's crazy. I figure you rent out a good studio and you just shoot content for months on it.
Well, they have studios specifically for people to shoot TikTok videos.
Yes, they do.
That's true.
Yes, they do. I wanted to
Again,
open this up
that's
for,
that rabbit
some
hole we
studio.
talking about.
Ah,
Yeah,
fair
I
enough.
always thought I would open. Oh yeah, you're right. That is that
Yeah, I sorry. I dug a little deeper there. I shouldn't have.
Oh, it's all good. So
Well, we got banner episodes coming up.
That's right. We
We
do.
do. We do.
We should talk about how everything on the internet is fake on the next banter episode.
We did kind of gloss over it, so yeah, we could definitely deep dive that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, his wife blames him, kicks him out. He's at the hotel. He has that discussion that we were talking about earlier with the smoking and versus vaping. Because smoking isn't vape. I mean, vaping isn't smoking, but it is.
It is.
But the chick who agrees with Jack also makes a comment about immigrants that is unsavory.
After a loud, long fart.
After a loud, long fart with her legs wide open as she's sitting on the banister.
At least it wasn't described as a queef.
The vulgar masses. There you are.
Because there you go.
Because if you have the wrong opinions, you're obese, you're gross, you fart, you're disgusting, and you should probably just not exist at all. Why?
Stop describing me. I'm offended.
The only people that don't fart in the road are girls. Haven't you guys heard? Girls don't fart.
Well, unless they have unpopular beliefs about immigrants,
right?
Then they fart all nonstop. Yeah,
right.
It was
one long fart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But let's see. So Jack sees Mike at a diner. They go and get Connor. They end up going to Fantasy Springs in Palm Desert because they need to get away. They go do some gambling. They
make it to Vegas.
They couldn't make it to Vegas because they're old. Get it? Ha ha ha
yeah.
ha.
I thought the
well,
same thing.
maybe because he was on that booger sugar.
Well, yes.
I'm also thinking Vegas was too far.
He started way too early.
He did. I'm also thinking Vegas was too far because he had to be somewhat close for if she went into labor. Which
no,
she said that was early.
He said it was his sciatica that.
Right.
I didn't hear that. I missed that part.
Right, because she went into labor early. Probably because of the stress she caused herself by being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's because she had a sixth sense about the fact that her husband was actually having some fun.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
He was having fun. Time to have his baby.
I know I posted that joke the other day in the group.
The moment he decides to have just a tiny bit of a fun time. Yeah.
Her spidey senses was tingling.
Yeah.
Is he smiling? Time for my water to break.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, they go.
We better stop. We're gonna get labeled.
Yeah.
I mean,
this movie is controversial. So if you can't handle watching the movie, then good luck with the review, I guess.
Right.
Because
you got to keep in mind, this new generation of people shoot the messenger, they shoot up the school, they shoot up the hospital, they shoot up the church, and they shoot up the movie.
Man, you just mixed a lot of metaphors there that I can't really unpack.
That's the whole point.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I guess, are people really that offended? I don't know. Who knows? Again,
but is that real?
Exactly. We just got done talking about how the internet might be fake. So, it's very possible that 90% of all of the offended people on the internet are not even real.
AI generated.
Yeah.
AI generated offense. AI generated offended.
The people and the offense.
Yeah. Yep.
When the people go on the defense, and I'm like, so what do? They see Aspen. They at
the strip club.
They see Aspen at the casino first, and then
they
go
right.
And they it looks like they're gonna rough him up a little bit, but so fast Aspen tells them why he's there because he's on sensitivity training, and then he starts crying, and they kind of
to go to rehab.
They're not terrible guys, so they do feel bad for the kid, and I think because of their age, they view him like he could be one of their kids because they could have had kids that early in life. Either way, what ends up happening is they go into the strip club, and Aspen never gets a dance. He just sits there and hangs out, talking to the fellas. I expected Aspen to get a dance. I thought that'd have been, a revelation for his character. And they end up just having fun at the strip club until they get the call that don't remember her name, but they get the call
Bill Burr's wife.
that
Mhm.
Jack's wife is in labor and it's time to rush back. And they're
The,
all
the,
too stoked.
the banshee of Bill Sharon. There you
Bill-
go.
nice.
That's her name.
let's see. Oh, Leah goes into labor. They get into a little bit of scuffle with the security for no reason at all.
None.
Like the security was literally just trying to find a reason to mess with them for like no reason.
Mhm.
Go,
Yeah.
you work at a strip club, buddy. Enjoy your day.
Yeah. I mean, they were paying and they weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And nobody
They
was
had to get into a
complaining.
scuffle because that's just another trope, and he's got to be covered in glitter. And when he comes to the, I mean, it's such a tame thing to like, because you know what it reminded me of? It reminds me of the end of The Hangover when everybody's all messed up and then they have to go to the wedding the next day. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, could you believe that crazy night we had? But they had like the most tame outing ever, except for the contrived fight that happens. And I think that the fight has to happen because otherwise they just went out to the casino and then incidentally went to a strip club, which was probably attached to the casino.
For sure it was attached to the casino.
I don't know. Yeah. It's not like it was The Hangover where they're, getting punched out by Mike Tyson or stealing his tiger. You know?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
So they get in a scuffle. Aspen helps him escape, and they end up getting an old driver, not in a regular, like some random ride share, to get them back to LA or to the Valley from Palm Desert. Of course, it's like 100 miles, so it's like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, maybe a little more depending on how fast. Because I don't think he was driving that fast. But they get caught in traffic. They get scooters, which earlier we saw how much the old people feel about the kids on scooters. They're just inconsiderate. But they end up getting there in time for Jack to meet his daughter, but not to see her birth. And the moment he hits the door, what happens? His wife looks up and rolls her eyes like, ugh, he's here. And I was so disgusted at that. Like, no, don't be glad that he's safe
Pull your
and
mic
alive.
up, Keelan.
I was a little irritated by that because I felt like, no, don't be glad that he's safe and alive and he made it here. Considering you couldn't even get in touch with him. They had, like, he found out through Mike.
Yeah, and if you hadn't have locked him out and separated with him a week before you were about to go into labor, could you not just waited? I mean, like, if this wasn't going to work, then maybe you should have just waited until, like you had the baby.
You don't need somebody there to help you. But she had her girls. And I'm assuming she went into labor while they were all hanging out and talking.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was, for sure. But, then she's upset because he's not reachable, even though she has no idea where he's living, no idea what he's up to, no contact with him. Yeah, that's okay.
It was weird.
Okay.
It was weird. But yeah, so he's sad. He's crying. His son Nate is giving him a hug. Like, why are you crying, Daddy? He's like, his daddy messed up. I messed up big. I messed up big. And it's like, okay, let's just get to that point in the movie then, I guess. And instead, she's like, you want to clean yourself up and gather yourself and come and meet your daughter? Do you want to talk to me like you have any respect for me at all?
Just a little, maybe. No.
Just curious. No. Like, admittedly, he messed up. I think at the not being there in time, we all get that. But we also understand that he wasn't alone in that, neither.
No,
but we understand that,
if you just let him sleep on the couch like he had offered to, then this wouldn't have been an issue at all.
I mean, she made it seem like he couldn't even sleep in the car because she had the keys to the car.
He couldn't even be in the same house. They live in like a 5-bedroom house, a gigantic, one of those Hollywood, California houses that's like always really big, and you would never be able to afford it on a middle income salary.
Right. You could throw a baseball across the front yard.
Yeah.
That far. But either way, so he meets his daughter and his wife, I guess, takes him back or whatever the hell, because we never actually get any.
Once he goes, he has to commit to going to the state-sponsored therapist or whatever.
You're right, he does.
Yeah. He's got to go to therapy.
That was suggested by Aspen.
Yes.
Wasn't that his mom? Didn't Aspen say that was his mom?
Oh, I don't know.
I think he did. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But either way, let's see. So this is pretty much the wrap up of the movie. Mike goes and apologizes to his lady for getting scared and leaving, and I'm like, "What? You apologize for getting scared? It's a scary situation, buddy. How about you tell her what you went through with your first wife? How about you tell her why it's so traumatic and why you locked up the way you locked up? Just have some real discussions." But instead, he just apologizes to her, and they walk away. I think they were going to be fine either way, if I'm being totally honest. I don't think their situation was really on the rocks. I think she might have went to the wrong people for advice, but that's a whole nother discussion. Connor stands with his wife. I wouldn't say he stood up to her, but he finally stepped up to stand on the same stair so they can have an actual discussion. And she seemed like she's open to understanding.
Please
I'm
don't
not
be
sure.
mean to me anymore, please.
Please. Yeah, I don't really know. The end of this movie kind of, even the guy running up on the house, like, oh yeah, just throw a baseball with a baby strapped to you. Like, hey, where's your kid?
Yeah, I said the
Oh,
same thing when I watched it, and it's that this is the weird message here is that aggression in men needs to be curbed at all costs, whether justified or not.
mhm.
And I think that's kind of what's interesting about it. And this is Bill Burr, so this is all him writing himself into his
Right,
story, and this is all
right.
like, as much as you want to, like, people might want to say that, oh no, this is this is separate. You have to separate the art and the artist. Problem is that this is very much his
This
story.
is This is
He's
right
an
on target with his material too.
It's almost exactly what his life is. His story is that he is an older father. He just recently became a father. He's had to mellow out a lot of his points of view because he was a lot angrier.
Mhm,
He's gotten really into therapy in the last few years. And like, that's basically where it goes. And it's like, yeah, I get that. That's fine. And you know what? You're in your 50s now. You don't need to have the fire that you once did. But this idea that the fire needs to be extinguished from all men
mhm,
is kind of weird to me, because it's it makes the assumption that there's only one way to process things, and there's only one good way to process things, and that's whatever. That's not the male way. Anytime a male
mhm.
processes things, it's in a toxic manner. And I don't necessarily, I mean, I don't even think the movie agrees with that. It's almost kind of like Bill Burr's crying for help in the movie, because you think about the last scene where he's playing catch with his kids, and some douchebag on a bicycle, some stranger. First of all, I don't know,
Passive aggressively challenges him,
we're all from California, and in Los Angeles. Rule number one is you do not approach strangers, like,
especially not on their own property.
on their own property at all. And so he rolls up and scolds him, and then he just has to take it because his wife is staring lovingly at him like,
Mhm.
hey, you get upset at this and I'm taking everything from you. And he
So what's he
just
gonna do now?
yeah, exactly. I hired this bicyclist to piss him off, just to test him and see if
Right.
he's gonna snap. And of course
It
he
almost
doesn't
came
snap.
off that way.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like that. But of course he doesn't snap. He swallows it and says, "Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day." "Okay, thanks."
Mhm.
Like,
Bye.
everybody's the Prius driver in South Park now. And just all they have to look at each other, be like, "Thanks." I don't know. It's a weird statement, because it kind of flies in the face of what is natural. If somebody had done that to me in front of my family, bro, I probably would have run
Teach some
up
lessons.
alongside him while he was biking and then thrown a stick in his spokes. just just to mess with him. Like,
I think you would have found a boomerang and flung it from a
hey,
distance.
that's great. That's a great idea. I like that.
This way when
Boomerang.
he falls, you can be like, I threw that shit for he walked into the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, it just feels weird. It feels like like he sort of like acquiesces, which is a sign of maturity for sure, but you are also sometimes justified to act in a manner that makes people uncomfortable. Like,
Right.
that has to be okay as well. Otherwise, we're living in this weird kindergarten where this lady is making everybody talk nice, but they're all miserable and suffering. Like, I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah, no. That's actually right on point because that's what it comes off as.
yeah, it just kind
I
of
hope
feels
this
weird.
isn't. Never mind. I'm not saying that out loud. I'm sorry. I've said enough.
Yeah, no, I have to. Obviously, this is a hot button issue as far as how men handle things and how we sort of navigate the world.
Well, the
It's
biggest
become abundantly obvious that our modalities of coping and handling things are becoming increasingly passe. So
right, and I think it just becomes to a point where we live in a very sad time where if you're trying to explain yourself, you're automatically dismissed because because the depth of your voice, like, oh, your tone of your voice is too deep.
oh
See, deep
yeah,
voice has women
yeah.
out here. Y'all listening to their mind.
Yeah.
See, I said it.
Oh, honestly, heaven forbid, like I have to remind myself to be monotone sometimes because even if I have a tint of emotion or passion in my voice, people are like, "Hey, chill out, man. Don't
Chill
get
out.
so
Yeah.
upset." You know, like, okay, let me talk like a robot and never lift my
Sorry.
voice higher than 15 decibels. You know, it's like,
I
yeah.
am sorry for
Yeah.
inflicting my vocal cords to
Yeah. But
So,
anyways,
to wrap up the movie, Dr. L was arrested for embezzlement, and the boys sued the Trifecta company for violating their privacy, and they won. They did not get their company back, but they did get a nice lump sum to set them right. And that is pretty much where the movie ends. All is well in the world, but things had to change, and I'm not exactly sure. Again, not exactly sure who is supposed to like the end of this movie, the middle, and the beginning, but I don't think they are the same people at different points of this movie. So hopefully this movie brings everybody together to at least have a discussion about the topics that are brought up through it, because I think that's the point.
Sure, why not? I mean, it's definitely brought it up with us. Yeah. It's got to be talked about, you know, at some point.
Absolutely. And if there's anything that we all have agreed that a comedian or a comic's job is to at least start the discussion. And I guess this would be Bill sticking true to his true calling and at least making sure the discussion is out there for people to have. With that being said, that is our wrap of the Old Dads movie. Let's get into some final thoughts and ratings. Once again, I can start this off and go first. I did enjoy this movie, as I said. Again, I was still confused by certain things, such as the focused demographic. The messages weren't really hard to understand, really clean cut, not like Nick said, this movie isn't too complex. It gets to the point. Now, like I said earlier, will it make you cringe? Maybe. Will it be some hard topics? Maybe. Will it make you go, damn, we're doing this again? Maybe. But overall, I think it's done in a tasteful manner. The question is just, how do you feel about the discussions that were had? With that being said, no cinematographic really, like I said, the cinematography didn't seem like there was much to talk about, but I agree with what Nick said earlier. It's a great job by Bill for his first cinematic debut. And I'm actually looking forward to see what styles he picks up along the way and what he adds to his repertoire, because I do think he's a great storyteller. So yeah, if anything, this movie has gotten me interested in what Bill Burr's next storytelling venture will be. But with this one, I'm gonna give this a 6.
Fair enough. Yeah. Mike?
I might go a little down, but I'm thinking 6.
No,
We
no,
lose
I'm
you?
good.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Now, I had some technical stuff going on in the middle of, like, right at the end,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
I got them resolved. No, I thought it was hilariously funny in a lot of the comedic moments. I did take some issues with some of the more, I guess, controversial parts. You know, the whole aspect of all the dads and fathers or guys in movies have to be bungling idiots to their overly intelligent, enlightened, goddess-like wives who know all, see all, and comprehend better than anyone else on the whole planet.
Mm,
Even when they're at their worst, they are the best.
right.
We know who's not married.
Right. Hey.
The only one that can speak the truth from now on.
But no, I mean, you know, aside from those kind of like those tropes that we see in a lot of movies and TV media right now, because they're doing it, they're doubling down on that stuff so much, and they're losing money for it. They'll figure it out eventually,
Yeah.
or they won't,
Or they won't.
or they won't.
Look, they wallet, not ours.
Right. You guys will have great wives, so lucky you. With that being said, though, I gave this movie a 6 because it was funny. I'm not a big comedy guy, but I gave it a 6 because I thought it was a good movie. It touched on some funny topics. I think it should have went further, you know, but I know for political correctness purposes, you can only go so far. But
Yeah.
that's why I miss the comedies from the 80s and 90s, because they used to push the envelope and people understood that it's jokes.
Yeah.
It's commentary of social society.
Yeah.
And social media and everybody having access to, people have too much access to too much stuff all at once. And it's making everybody kind of sensitive and soft.
Yeah.
You can't hurt somebody's feeling without them trying to get you fired from your job. It's like, wait a minute. Just because I said something you don't like don't mean I need to lose my whole livelihood and my children have to go hungry.
Well,
that's crazy to me.
It is crazy. Well, of course it's crazy. But look into the last 100 years and see that it's happened multiple times across the world. So
agreed.
It's a very awful effect.
Agreed.
All right.
So with that being said, my take, it's a 6.
Okay.
Nice.
Sounds good. Yeah. I enjoyed the movie. I didn't think that it was bad. I didn't find myself bored. I think the pacing is fine. I think the story's a little small. I think it's a little, it's commentary is a little bit dated at this point. Maybe it's supposed to be. Maybe it just took longer for it to come out because of COVID and all that stuff. Maybe it was on the burner for a few years. So it's a little bit late to the party. As far as anything poignant, you know, like to offer as a counter critique, because I think that that's the one thing that would bump it up for me, is that if there was a counter critique to all of this prevailing narrative about what you guys are talking about with people being offended and, you know, the new sensibilities versus the old sensibilities, if there was a valid enough alternate perspective there, then maybe I could say, oh yeah, this is a nuanced film that really, delves into the issues between generations and how those things are reconciled. But get with the times, old man, just seems to be the only message that I get from this movie. And that's okay. You can make that message, but then I don't think that you get to claim that it's making any deeper points about anything else, because the character ultimately doesn't rage against the dying of the light. They sort of just roll over and allow it to wash over them. And so that's okay. It's just a stylistic choice. It's not bad for Bill Burr's first directorial debut. I can say I kind of see it in the lane of an Adam Sandler, or maybe like the what's the dude that does all the Apatow movies? You know, I could see him doing, I could see them do, him falling in that sort of vein where it's like family comedy, sort of on the PG-13 edgy side. That would be fine. But for me, I think this is a 5. I think it's perfectly good as it is, but comedy's really tough in my opinion. I don't think that I can bring it any higher. I feel like the comedy that is the best here is the more subtle stuff that isn't as overt. The rest of it just seems cringeworthy to me. So nothing else to say. 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. 5. That gives us 17 out of 30, about a 5.6, 5.8, something like that.
It's a 5.6.
Yeah.
5.65 or something like that.
I think that's a pretty decent
it's not bad.
middle of the round, especially for a comedy. We know comedies usually aren't going to have those emotional things that tug on us to get us past pause, to get us up on over 8 pause. But overall, I think 5.65 is a decent, very decent for a comedy. If anything, it's probably one of the highest rankings for a comedy we'll have, and it's the beginning of the year. So
we'll see. Yeah. I find that
be a funny year.
Well, I mean, I think that sometimes the funniest stuff is the stuff that's not even marked under comedy nowadays.
That's
I'm thinking
true.
of like, Jojo Rabbit's not necessarily a comedy. Beef
That's
was
more like a historic piece.
Beef wasn't a comedy.
Yeah, that was considered a drama, right?
Beef was definitely a drama. Jojo Rabbit is kind of a drama. It's supposed to be it masks itself as satire, but then it's deeply.
It's a dramedy.
Yeah, dramedy is good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes when you label yourself comedy, you almost shoot yourself in the foot sometimes because people have these weird expectations about what comedy is now. So,
yeah.
But I would like to see Bill Burr branch out of the comedy world and maybe direct something serious.
I think Bill Burr would direct an excellent horror movie, honestly.
Or a drama. I could see him, like something small, something kind of art housey would be interesting from him. So hopefully he doesn't. I hope he doesn't just stick with comedy because, yeah.
You know what?
I
just thought about what I was
the
saying.
Talent to do other stuff.
Right, and I just thought about what I'm saying. Yeah, no, stay away from horror. Every comedian seems to go from comedy to horror. So yeah, let's try the dramas. Maybe he gives us a good novella from the caucus. Damn it, what am I talking about? Get me off this microphone.
All right, we're out of here, guys. The C word's been used one too many times before, and I don't mean cunt.
I'm saying right now. Look, I'm sitting here like that's not even politically incorrect. I don't know that.
It's
I'm
not.
always asking the question.
It's not. All right, but you set me up for that nice joke, so I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that being said, we are the new old dads and the new old men, according to the world, because we are all over a certain age. And who cares what that age is? It's all about you guys not agreeing with our outlooks and our views on life. With that being said, we are now wrapping up our review for the movie Old Dads, currently showing on Netflix. Directed, written, starring Bill Burr, got Bokeem Woodbine in it. I mean, those are the only two reasons I actually turned this movie on, because I was like, oh yeah, funny and familiarity. Let's do it. Go ahead and check that out, guys. Enjoyable movie. You'll get some good laughs. You'll probably be like WTF a couple of times. But at the exact same time, I think that there's something in there for everybody, whether you agree or disagree. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan. But before we do all of that, I just realized that I am jumping the gun. As you guys see, I got really nervous on the way I was talking. And I'm like, whoa, got to get out of here. But before we do get out of here, do me a favor, guys. Check out your screens if you're watching this, or just give us a good listen right now, because we have a lot of shows that are archived. We have plenty of things out here on the internet for you to take a look at, take a listen to, put on your playlist. We have If Numbers Could Talk. We have the Exo Fathom. We have This Merry Moment. Strawberries and Coffee is over on Twitter, as well as King_of_Ilion. Also, sorry, over on Twitch. Strawberries and Coffee is over on Twitch, not Twitter, Twitch, as well as King_of_Ilion. But you are here on the Screen Time Continuum. It is a Wednesday. We typically give you guys 2 episodes throughout the week. So stay tuned for that second episode from Screen Time Continuum coming to you this weekend. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Mike.
We appreciate you guys. And yeah. So sorry if we made you mad.
I'm not.
I mean, that's what they wanted us to say. You ruined that for me.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I can't. I gotta keep it 100.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
It definitely goes wrong often.
Thanks a lot, guys.